In the coastal city of Velmora, storms were treated like living beings. The sea was not just water, it was memory, anger, and judgment. People built their lives around its moods, and rulers learned long ago that controlling the sea meant controlling the city. Arin lived closest to it, repairing boats with hands hardened by salt and labor. Era lived far above it, in stone towers, where windows faced the horizon, but never the truth. They should never have met. Yet one night, when the storm sirens failed and rain swallowed the docks, fate ignored every rule Velmora had ever written. Era had escaped the palace, seeking air that didn't feel owned. The storm caught her before fear did. A mast snapped, ropes lashed wildly, and the sea surged like it had been waiting for her. She slipped, and a stranger pulled her into shelter beneath a half-built boat hull. Aaron didn't recognize her as royalty. He only saw a frightened girl shaking in the cold. Thunder cracked above them as they spoke softly, sharing thoughts they'd never dared to say aloud. By the time the storm passed, something had already changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to matter forever. They met again in stolen hours before dawn, after dusk, in moments borrowed from duty. Arin showed her the honest rhythm of the sea. Era showed him what gentleness looked like in a world ruled by power. Love arrived quietly, disguised as comfort, as laughter, as silence that didn't need filling. And that quiet love became dangerous the moment it existed, because Velmora belonged to Lord Kael'ros, and Kael'ros did not tolerate what he could not control. Kael'ros was not cruel in obvious ways. His cruelty was precise, calculated, and patient. When he learned of Era's secret meetings, he summoned Varric, a man who carried out violence without emotion. "Break the boy," Kael'ros said calmly. "Let her watch hope learn its place." Varric found Aaron on a moonless night and left him bleeding on the docks, a warning carved into his skin. When Era found him barely breathing, something in her shattered. For the first time, she understood that love was not a feeling, it was a choice that demanded a price. Desperate, Era searched the palace archives and uncovered the truth her family had buried for generations. Velmora's storms were not natural. They were bound, controlled through blood rituals and sacrifices at sea. Her blood. Kael'ros had built his empire by silencing the storm's will, and Era had been raised not to rule, but to contain it. Arin, unknowingly, carried the lineage of the last guardians who once calmed the sea rather than enslaved it. Their love was not an accident. It was a convergence the world had been postponing. The confrontation came at the lighthouse cliffs, where torches burned against rising winds. Kael'ros offered Era a choice that sounded merciful and felt monstrous: her city or the man she loved. Arin stepped forward, offering himself without hesitation, willing to disappear so she could live without guilt. The wind screamed louder, waves rising unnaturally, as if the sea itself waited for her answer. Era trembled, then reached for Aaron's hand, and understood something no ruler ever had: saving the world by sacrificing love only teaches the world to demand more sacrifices. She chose him. The storm answered. The sea rose like judgment, swallowing Kael'ros' ships while sparing the city. Towers cracked but did not fall. Varric vanished into the waves. Those who fed on control fled. When the storm finally calmed, Velmora still stood, but its chains were gone. Power returned to the people, and fear no longer ruled the tide. Aaron and Era refused crowns and titles. They rebuilt the docks together, not as rulers, but as partners. Aaron taught sailors to listen to the sea instead of conquering it. Era ensured no one would ever again be raised to cage a storm. Their love was no longer loud or desperate. It was steady, earned, and unafraid. And when storms came after that, they no longer felt angry. They felt remembered. Because some loves are not meant to survive quietly. They are meant to change the world and leave it gentler than they found it.